So, hello, Ivan. How is it going?
It's going great. Summer in Oslo.
Oh,
We have
fantastic.
summer. It's great. And you?
I'm fine, thanks. I'd like to know, like, your band is going to release an album soon in a few months, right? It's called Endling.
September the 8th, I
Yes,
think.
in September. So it's your first post-pandemic work. So how was the creative process for this album? Was it at all affected by the pandemic?
Yeah, it was. Because when everything closed down, we didn't have any shows. So I think like most bands, we just we had to we had to do something like we thought we thought we were gonna play more shows for that Split album that came out, but of course we didn't have the time. So I mean the pandemic closed down everything. So the thing is we couldn't even rehearse like all bands. So I just went home to where I come from, the southwest of Norway,
Mhm.
and went up in the forest and in the mountains there, and I just spent like 3 months without seeing almost anybody, and I had lots of time to just to. I met so many crazy people up there in the mountains in the west southwest of Norway, and we had a time to like. I got so much inspiration, and I think that's where I got most of the lyrics from. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. So Endling, sorry, brings
yeah,
Norwegian history to the table. Right. I don't speak
yeah.
Norwegian, but I read about it and right. So not in a Hollywoodian kind of way, but that seems like in vogue lately, right? There's all these shows about Vikings and the Danes and all that. So but this brings Norwegian history in a raw way, in a raw manner. So what was it like to create an album to cover that subject lyrically?
I mean, this is um, this is local history, stories that no one has ever heard before. It's like, for example, there is one place where we come from in Rogaland, where there are when you drive E39 from Kristiansand to Stavanger, there are there's a churchyard, a graveyard, and you can see three graveyards side by side, which is a big sect in Norway that's been around for almost 200 years. And there is one story from one song from about this place, and it's crazy stuff that no one has ever heard about. And we have so many different, like small local history things that no one knows. So we thought that okay, everybody's heard about Vikings. So many bands have done it before, and even if we still bring some Viking elements into the music and into lyrics, we have so many new things going on that no one knows, which is I think it's interesting to dig deeper into local history and people who even they're even alive today who can tell us stuff that we started to think about this, and we picked up so many cool interesting stuff from that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So Kvelertak's music brings an aggressive sound, but also with lots of humor, right? So this new album has a song that really made me smile. It's called, I don't see if the pronunciation is bad, I apologize. So it's called Skoganger. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so yeah, in your performance, on stage, it reminds me a lot of Iggy and the
Oh,
Stooges,
really?
especially you.
He's one of my biggest heroes.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
how do
I'm
those
so glad
elements?
you're saying that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
but
so
it's
glad you're
true. It
saying that.
reminds me of it, even the way you hold the microphone like this, kind that's so Iggy.
Okay. I mean, I've seen Iggy many times, and actually this summer we're gonna play with Iggy.
Wow, that's great.
We have only one show this summer, and that's in Oslo. Before, because we started touring in September, so we decided not to do any shows, but we had this opportunity and this chance to play, and this is with Iggy in Oslo.
It's tons of
And
rock, right?
Yeah, tons rock,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, but I mean, even though Kvelertak is kind of like a metal band, I've always got most of the inspiration from rock bands when it comes to singers. Like, and Iggy is one of my, like, Raw Power is the best album ever made, I think. And it's when it comes to the energy and everything about that album is I mean, it's perfect. And he's still great. I've seen him so many times and live. Yeah, he's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, and this and you asked about this skoganger.
Yeah.
That is actually it means that you are doomed to. They said back in the old days, they said that you are you can you are sent to the forest not to see anyone instead of prison, kind of. And that's this song is about one guy who's living in the forest, and this guy is actually alive now. I don't know if he's alive anymore, but he's been just against modern civilization, and he's living out there in the forest. And he was born during the Second World War, and his dad was a German soldier, and his mom was Norwegian. And this is just a story about him, who how he was like damned from the whole society. His mother was, and he had to run into the forest, and it's a song about him. And he's been living all of his life in the forest, in the Norwegian forest and the mountains, just hunting and fishing, just to survive. And he's against all kind of modern civilization. And so I've heard so many stories about this guy, and that's one of the main themes actually about this album, is this guy and his perspective to the life in a humoristic way, kind of. I put some. I think it's kind of funny, but I still have some. I understand what he's talking about. He's kind of like a outsider, totally complete outsider of society. Now I don't know how old he is now. He's got to be more than 70 years old, still out there hunting, fishing, don't know anything about modern society. It's just against everything. So that's, yeah, it's crazy. And I think that's very interesting. At least it blew me away when I heard about it. Yeah.
And are there like news reports about this guy?
No, not 3 years. Last time they heard about him, 3 years ago. Last times somebody saw him. I don't know if he's still alive. It's hard to say.
That's it's an interesting character, and it's great that you brought it to the album.
Yeah.
To educate the rest of us about these things going on.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So this album sounds very organic and raw. I'm going to use the word raw a lot because your music.
That's great. That's great. I want it to be raw power.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and it's not overproduced, but I understand you guys work with 3 producers on the album.Ll is it that the album is not overproduced, but you got 3 producers? And
the main reason, exactly, the main reason why we had 3 producers is because we fight so much in the studio. So the producers need to take a break. We need 3 people because we were working 24/7 for this album, and it was just crazy. So they needed to take a break. That's the main reason. But it's also because one of the guys is he's from, the band Enslaved.
Yes, Ivar Nikolaisen, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's like really good when it comes to the drum sound. And Yngve Sætre, he's been producing Norwegian albums since these, I don't know, late 70s. So he's like a really cool guy from Norway and he helped me a lot with the vocals. And also Jørgen, he was maybe the main guy. He also mixed the album. He's got the overall view on the whole thing. And so I think I don't know if we needed three producers, but it turned out to be really good, and we didn't use click. We used and we played most of the stuff live. I even did the vocals live. Of
Right.
course, I did some overdubs and stuff like that, but most of the vocals are from the live take, and also the guitars, drums, everything. And we didn't use click, and I think maybe that's why it sounds raw, and it doesn't sound overproduced.
Yeah.
But like you say, we have three producers. It should sound overproduced, maybe. Yeah, we spent. It was recorded in Bergen, where uh, and we spent like three weeks in the studio. We had rented a Airbnb apartment. Just we stayed together for 3 weeks, and we just recorded and hung out in the studio all the time. It was really cool, absolutely. Even though it was some fights and some because we always do that. So, but it ended up. I'm really happy with it now. Yeah.
Yeah, the result is brilliant. The album is fantastic. So,
Thank you so much.
now imagine, Kvelertak's music is a mix of many different elements, right? So,
Yeah.
how is it? What are your influences? Because it's six of you. It's like
Yeah.
a huge band. Six people
Yeah.
to get six people to make music together and to get on stage together. It's the thing. And with three guitars, it must be
Yeah.
tough to set that up too, because two guitars is already tough. So three guitars. So, how is it that your influences come into play, and what are they?
I mean, it's everything from Fleetwood Mac to raw power and Norwegian black metal. Everything in between there, and I don't know. I think it's guitar. Like you say, we have three guitars, and everything is pretty much guitar based. So and it's we don't have three guitars just because we want to have three guitars. They play different stuff, and we've spent so much time trying to make all the harmonies and all the melodies and everything in the guitars. And I think now it would be really hard to do a show with two guitars, really hard. And I don't know. I don't write the music, so I can only speak for myself. But I think that the influence is really mixed with everything, yeah, everything. But and BJ, the guitar player who's playing without a pick, he doesn't use he's I think he's into everything from garage rock to punk rock and play like everything. So I think you can hear that in the music.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first time I heard Kvelertak, I thought, because it was the first album, and the first song has
Yes.
all those, the first track of the first album, it has the black metal guitars very, very
Yeah.
clearly there. But
Yeah.
there is like this punk rock, hardcore kind of beat and
Yeah.
energy. It's the energy.
Yeah.
It's not something that you go like, oh my God, it's black metal, and you just want to bang your head a little bit. No, it's something that you want to jump around to. It's music
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's got the
Because
energy.
it's true, and most of us grew up in a kind of like a hardcore scene with many kind of like when we were only 13, 14, it was like the straight edge scene, straight edge, and
Yeah.
it was so much the focus was so much on the stage appearance and how you all about the stage diving and just getting crazy and that kind of stuff. So I think it's still with us. The whole that thing that we grew up with with this hardcore, all these hardcore bands, and but still it's not like we play hardcore, but I think we have the energy still.
Yeah.
I hope so. It's I like that mix.
Yeah, and for the crowd, it's a more intense energy. Like
It is.
the pit is harsher for
Yeah.
hardcore music than there's more kicking and punching than
Yeah, true.
than metal
Yeah, true.
circle
We
pit.
have some headbanging, but still we have people who's just yeah. crazy.
Yeah, and which brings me to the next question, because the diversity in your sound, it must also bring a very diverse audience to your concerts. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it's your sound has a lot of defiance in its attitude, and I think it brings
Yeah.
different people to the crowd. So what is the audience generally like, you know, and how is their reception to your music?
You have these 50-year-old nerds, metal nerds, with all the patches on their jackets, and you have 18-year-old boys and girls who's just this is the first rock band they see, and they just get really into the music, and it's new for them. And you also have people who are just interested in classic rock, like Thin Lizzy and that kind of stuff. Maybe because we have all those guitar parts that we have, and we have the punks, like in Norway and in all over Germany. You have these turbo Jugends, you know them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they show up. So it's a very mixed audience, which is really cool, because some people just stand in the back, they just watch, and some people get totally crazy. And then I don't know, but I think I think Kvelertak is a band that connects people in a way, and all kinds of people, yeah, and people who are young, and we meet people who we have a granddad and dad and their kid on the same show, and they all love it for different reasons. Maybe some people, maybe the kid just likes to loves the energy, and their father loves the hardcore attitude, and the granddad loves the guitar solo on the third song on the second album. It's
Yeah.
just so it's mixed there, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So, and this is a question, my curiosity, and I think it's a lot of your fans' curiosities too. So, why is the owl the chosen symbol for Kvelertak?
First of all, it's a beautiful bird. It's the most beautiful bird we have, and I don't know why it started, but it's I think it was Bjarte or Marvin who came up with it, the bass player or the guitar player, one of the guitar players, and maybe they didn't know that they were going to use it for the rest of the career, but it just started that way, and then it just kind of got stuck with us, and we always, for me, it's like I've built two big, I don't know what that is in English, but where bird houses, kind of,
Yes, yeah.
for owls, and I got one that moved in right beside my cabin where I live. There's an owl living there,
Nice.
and now it's been like it's, and we in Rogaland, where we come from, there is this the biggest owl we have in Norway, maybe in the world. I'm not sure. The Hubro, is that in English too? Hubro?
I don't know. I don't know
No.
I don't know much about. I just know the word owl.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, and
yeah.
they are, yeah, and they this is the biggest owl we have. This,
Nice.
and it's and they are starting to disappear. There are not many left, and it's when I was a kid, I could hear him from my where I used to sleep in my bedroom. I could hear the owl like far away, and now you can't hear him anymore. So it's the owl for all of us. It's every time I see owl, it's like a religious, spiritual feeling I get to it. And I think it's a spirit. I think it's a spiritual animal. I think it used to be. It was warning people. If you see an owl flying over your house, it could warn you for there was death coming. It used to be that people used to believe that before, and you can still, when you look an owl into in their eye, you can still feel that there's something more out there. There's something deeper, not only in you but in the whole world. It's something like, yeah, something spiritual, occult maybe.
Yeah, there's wisdom in the
Yeah,
eyes of the
wisdom,
owl. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
that's true. Yeah. So Kvelertak is known to have a lot of infighting, as you mentioned before. You know, when you're recording and it gets a bit rough between you guys, you know. So you still, of course, you still get along and remain friends. So do you think that a little bit of chaos is fundamental in when you guys are making rock and roll music?
Maybe not. I don't think it's a good thing. I wish we didn't fight. I wish we didn't do that, but it's just but still nobody thinks about it when we're on stage or anything. But I don't think it's a good thing to fight. It's maybe, but it's not a thing that we think is. Of course, it's kind of I don't want to. It feels kind of strange to be so personal about it, because it can be really tough, and it's sucking the life out of the spirit out of us sometimes. But we always get along with it, and it works out every time. And we've been around now for more than, I mean, the band's been around for more than 15 years. And I think it's just something we've learned to live with, and it goes up and down, and I think we can survive another few years.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
another many years, because
Yeah.
your music is just too necessary, I think, for the world.
Thank you so much.
It is unique. It is unique, and I like that uniqueness a lot. So Kvelertak has been writing music in Norwegian since your early days, right? Before you joined the band. So why is it in Norwegian? Because most bands that are from places that non-English speaking countries usually make the music in English to make it more palatable and commercial for the audience. So why in Norwegian?
Yeah, we had 2 songs on the last album on the split that were in English. But that was because we had the Troy Sanders from Mastodon who was singing, and it worked out. And we noticed that it could be more popular, more people listen to those songs, but still it's important for us to keep the Norwegian stuff because it's more unique. And then if we keep, especially the new album is very much into our dialect and our own history, our own local history, and it gets so unique that no one can sound like us. I mean, if I should write songs in English, it would almost be like a chat GPT, because I'm not English. I mean, it doesn't feel natural for me to write songs in English. So it's much harder, and I think that it makes Kvelertak much more unique that when we do the songs in Norwegian, and especially in our own very specific dialect, I guess.
Yeah,
I think it's cool, and it's I mean, people from outside of Norway, they try to go to Google Translate and translate the lyrics, and it doesn't really work because it's there's so much dialect, and it doesn't, if you try, it doesn't make any sense sometimes when you try to translate it. But still, I think that's cool. It makes like a it makes it special, I think.
Yeah. So as you mentioned before, you guys are going to play tons of rock this year in Oslo. So you mentioned that you're going to tour afterwards. So you guys announced an European tour for now, right? And what are your future touring plans? Are you going to go abroad this time?
Yeah, then it's in September it's Norway, and in October it's all over Europe and Scandinavia, and then we have one show in Mexico, and then next year we're gonna focus on doing lots of festival for summer, and maybe England or Australia, and of course we hope to get to the States. It will happen, but we don't know when. So yeah, we're gonna play as much as whatever works, but not too much, because if we play too much, there's gonna be too much fighting and inside the group. So we try to focus on the coolest things, actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So yes, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play live. You know, next time I travel, I'll check you out. So thank you so much for this interview. And
Thank you so much for having us.
Before we go, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans out there?
Come to our shows. We've been much better since the pandemic.
Yeah, so thanks.
Yeah,
Bye-bye,
thank you.
Ivar.
Bye bye.